So before we start, I had two items I wanted to talk about early on, if that's possible.
Yeah, we'll have a chance after the first hearing. We'll have plenty of time between the first and second hearings. Uh,
Great.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Amherst Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, the 23rd of July, 2025. Time is currently 7:05, and we have 5 members of the commission present. For a chair's report, today I, Andre Gadera, am the vice chair, so I'll be chairing today. Our regular chair is out today. I don't have anything to report other than a quick question of Aaron. Is there still uh, a drought declaration? I would imagine yes, right?
Um, so the drought declaration was lifted. Right now we're in normal conditions, and I believe that was as of I want to say it's May 1st. It was first initially declared as normal, but it's still as of June 1st, it's still normal.
Okay, some reason I thought there was a drought now. Another point next week at this time, 7 o'clock, will be a separate meeting by the Concom to discuss hunting regulations or proposed hunting regulations. That'll be again on the 30th at 7 o'clock, and it'll be same bat channel as we have right now. With that, I don't know. I suppose we're not going to get a director's report, or Aaron, is there anything that you had to put in there for the director?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Our first meeting is scheduled. I don't have
7:30.
my agenda in front of us. So it's scheduled for 7:30. We have another 22 minutes, but we do have a bunch of other business, right, Bruce?
Mhm.
That was my point.
Okay. So do we want to just go straight to, let's say
The next item is minutes.
well, that's where I was going. I read them all. There were a lot of them. I don't have any issues with any of them. Anyone else?
I
Rachel?
didn't read them all. There was a lot of them.
Rachel?
Yeah, Bruce, thank you. It's quite a bit of note taking. I did have one small correction on the notes from May 9th, 2025. When we were talking about possibly revisiting the current regulations. I don't think it was official motion and second, I think it was just a vote. I didn't second the motion. I and voted, but I was very surprised by the question. So yeah, I didn't second the motion. If you could change that on the notes.
Okay,
But was that like a straw poll vote?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You don't have to worry about that, Bruce. I'll take care of it.
thank you.
Yes.
So with that, as long as we're good, I'm looking for a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 1st until what was it, June 20?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes from January 22nd.
It's January 8th is the first one.
Yeah, January, they're not in order there. From January 8th through June 25th with the notes that that Rachel had mentioned.
All right, Jason on a motion,
A second.
Rachel on a second, Jason,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
Bruce,
Feel like I should abstain, but I'll vote for the things I wrote. Yeah,
Alex,
I did not read all of them, so I'm going to abstain.
and I'm an aye. All right. I don't have my agenda in front of me here for some reason.
Land use applications.
Land use applications. Aaron, please.
We don't have any land use applications. I did have on the PowerPoint a new item though, which I was hoping to talk to the commission about. So I've been communicating via email with commissioners about the environmental bond bill that is currently moving very quickly. It's a emergency legislation, and it's it's called the Mass Ready Act, and there are a number of organizations, the Mass Society of Conservation Professionals and the Mass Association of Conservation Commissions, have both sort of raised alarms about these bills that are moving forward quickly. Typically on a bill like this, there would be a 60-day comment period, but this one is being passed as an emergency legislation, and so there's only 30 days to comment. And it came out just prior to our last meeting, so we literally have no time to issue a response before, I think the comments are due by July 28th at midnight or something like that. And just to give you sort of a very brief overview, I mean, there are definitely some great provisions of the bill, which include making it easier to do restoration work in Massachusetts. And there's quite a bit more. Oh, they add climate resiliency to one of the interests of the Wetland Protection Act. So some of the components of it are really, really great. But there are some other components which are really, really concerning. I'll give you some examples, like removing requirements for abutter notifications, removing requirements for public hearings and public comment to pass projects. And there's some pretty serious concern that some of those changes to the current regulations would have far-reaching impacts to the members of our community who basically don't have any say in participating. And these are primarily for housing projects and for energy projects. So it might be solar, wind, transmission, right-of-way projects. So basically, if a housing project came through, or if an energy project came through, in some cases, the permit would go directly to DEP and not even come through the town. In some cases, it would come to the town, but we wouldn't have to hold a public hearing. We wouldn't have to put a legal ad in the paper. We wouldn't have to notify abutters. We could literally just have an open session and approve it, not having to take any public comment at all. And there was some other components. The right to appeal is basically, instead of appeals going to DEP, they would go straight to Superior Court, which adds quite a bit of cost to municipalities to foot the bill for legal costs for some of these projects if they were in an appeal situation. And particularly when there's no public comment being taken and projects being approved for then the town to have to defend it in court, I think is going to be presenting a financial burden to cities and towns. So that's kind of just a very brief overview. I did forward you some comments from the Mass Society of Conservation Professionals as well. I don't know if you guys all should have gotten the email tonight from MACC with some possible comments to share. My recommendation would be that we echo the comments that MACC has recommended, and I'd be happy to read those or share those on the screen, but I'll stop there and can have a discussion.
So we're looking to possibly make a statement as a commission. Okay. Bruce?
I have two questions. Why is it an emergency bill? And secondly, if it does end up saying that you could have these hearings without public notice or comment. Does it require you to do that? I acknowledge that there's lots of towns and each town might do something different. We might do it one way and others would do a different way. But could we go ahead and do what we normally would do anyway?
Andre, is it okay for me to respond?
Well, of course it is.
So Bruce, to answer your question, no, we couldn't. We wouldn't be able to do it as we normally do it. We would have to follow the state regulation. And also just something I forgot to mention in my initial comments is some of these projects actually invalidate our local wetland bylaws. So in those cases, our wetland bylaws would not be applicable to the given project, which, as you guys know, has sort of become the strength of the commission as the Wetland Protection Act regulations have weakened over the years. So I think there's some serious concerns about a lot of this. And to get to your question about why is it an emergency? I think that's a great question. I think it's really because the climate change is presenting a climate emergency, and there's a sense of urgency, particularly because I think some of the federal legislation is making it harder for green energy projects to move forward. But I think from my perspective, we would be sort of cutting our nose off to spite our face if we said, well, because we're in an energy crisis, we should ignore our regulations and be issuing permit approvals, because then we're going to be issuing approvals on projects that are really not resiliently permitted, and there's potential environmental impacts that could result.
Thanks, Aaron. Does that answer your questions, Bruce?
Yeah, thank you.
Alex?
Yeah, given the importance and the timing, I would suggest that commissioners be encouraged to comment, but I would favor if Aaron has time to draft comments for the commission, circulate them if she wants, and set it up for the chair's signature, and just entrust them to do what's best. There's obviously been a lot of hands in putting that bill together, and I would hope the commission would be able to file comments, but we're not going to be meeting, so delegate it to Aaron and to draft and present it to the chair, and if they want to, send it out to us for information, but not necessarily comment.
That makes sense if Aaron has the time. Aaron, how's your timing? And this is by Friday, right?
Yes. I mean, I think it's critical. So it's going to be short and sweet. But yeah, I think we should. And also just to note, individuals can, as residents, can also submit comments. So I would really encourage members of the commission to submit comments and or also call your senators and your state reps. Members of the public, call your senators and state reps about this. If anybody who's attending from the public wants copies, me to share a copy of any of the materials from MACC or the Mass Society of Conservation Professionals, so you can see what the areas of concern are, send me an email and I'd be happy to share that information with you, so we can all sort of be collective in our comment responses.
Thanks, Aaron. There we go, everybody. We have a job. Jason, please.
Yeah, Aaron, you mentioned and not that you necessarily have this answer, but you mentioned the energy and the climate, but where does the housing part of this come in? You mentioned housing. So we are currently dealing with like our town's essentially built out, and we have like all these like flag lots and lots adjacent to wetlands like remaining. How do you have an answer as far as how this will affect those types of projects?
Yeah, it would mean those lots would be getting developed without public input. It would mean those lots would be getting sent directly to DEP for, in my opinion, kind of a rubber stamp. They wouldn't be getting the same level of regulatory review. They'd be only being reviewed under the state regulations. So buffer zone projects would just be an automatic approval. Even if they encroach on our local, if they exceed 20% alteration, if they encroach into our 50-foot no disturb, they would just be getting an automatic approval if it's housing or energy related. So I think that I have serious concerns about the bill, that there will be environmental consequences, and also, these lots, which really, as you say, like the remaining lots are marginal lands that were never developed for a reason. Those lots are going to end up being targeted and developed with much less oversight, and I think there's going to be potential for, stormwater issues and a lot more impervious surface being added to the town. And yeah, it's concerning.
So if we were to approve a project now or before this bill's passage, those are not affected. Or can
Right.
retroactively.
It would be for projects that are submitted after the regulations pass.
Okay. So if a proposed, let's just say someone is proposing like a commercial space or an apartment space that also, or because it's housing, let's say apartments that also has solar, is that considered housing, or is that considered energy, or is that considered both?
I think it would be, it would fall under the umbrella of the regulations. And this is a very long bill.
Yeah.
It's, I've read some summaries of it, but I haven't read through the entire thing. But what I understand is, you know how some applications are, like, for example, not applicable to stormwater regulations? It's like checking a box on a form. Is this an energy project? Is this a housing project? And if it does, it has a different path that it follows. So it's as simple as that. If a box is checked, then it goes through a different regulatory process, which might not have local regulatory oversight, and it might not even come to the Conservation Commission. It might be going directly to the state for an approval.
So in theory, if there was a project where we would say you can do a 30% encroachment, but you have to do mitigation,
Right.
like, is that they're like, no, whatever, you can encroach however much you want,
Yep.
and you don't have to do mitigation.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
I think it's also important to note here that the DEP does not have a whole lot of employees who are ready to be doing this kind of stuff. So hence the assumption, I suppose, Aaron, that it would be rubber stamping.
And the regulations go into effect, I believe, March 1st, 2026. So do the math. This bill is passing, and they're going to be implementing it next March. So it's going to be rolled out very quickly. I mean, they already have a start date, and they don't even have regulations drafted. So it's a little frightening. Yeah.
All right, Bruce.
So Aaron, I thought, said comments were due the 28th, which is next Monday. And someone else said the 25th, which is Friday, and that makes a difference.
I thought it was Friday.
I believe it's the 29th, Bruce.
29th. Okay, so
Yes.
that's next Tuesday. All right. So that gives us more time.
A little bit.
Well,
Yep. Okay. Go ahead, Alex.
yeah, if it's helpful to the public to know what the commission might be talking about in their letters, it would be sure nice if an early draft could be posted, say, Friday, to give the public the weekend to work on their comments. I know that there isn't, Erin will just have to do the best she can, but the public would probably be grateful if they had some pointers. Secondly, Erin, that piece that you sent out that had kind of a brown background and provided a summary of certain sections, is that on the web? You sent it out separately, I think. Is that in our package?
Yes, it's in our package under correspondence, and it's titled Environmental Bond Bill, if anybody wants to look at it. The
So
one from,
so the public could go there right now.
They could, yep, and I can add there's an MACC correspondence that came in later this evening, which I haven't had a chance to upload, but I can add that as well so the public can see it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Looks like we have another 5 minutes. Is there something else that we can cover during this time? Alex, I would imagine whatever your question will take more than 5 minutes for us to discuss, or no?
No, I don't think so.
All right, go for it.
So, last week, Erin produced her first report. That was for all of us to read, and then she didn't say much during our meeting. It was kind of new for us. And at the very end, she told us that it took 10 hours of her time during the week to produce that report. And I commented that it didn't say that we were ending our meeting at exactly pretty much the same time we always do.
Mm-hmm.
So Erin spent 10 hours, but we didn't spend any less. And I just wanted to bring up that we always try hard not to burden Erin with more work. Dave is her supervisor, and we have been told that only he can assign work. So I would like to go back to what we had before, with Erin not spending 10 hours on that report, and instead giving us her point of view during the meeting. And save her that 10 hours of work. We could put it to good use doing other things. That's all I'll say, and open it up for discussion and a vote.
Okay. I wasn't there last week, but I did get to watch the whole thing, the whole video at home. I don't understand why we're doing that, and frankly, it just seems like it's something that's been done without notification to us, without us discussing it.
Right.
And I agree with you that I find that this is, no matter how much Erin can write, nothing's going to take the place of her thoughts live. And given that that I'm, that today I'm going to be chairing, she's going to be giving her thoughts on each one of them. I'm going to ask her to give them. I would like us to discuss why this is happening, or what's going on here at some point, maybe when Dave is back, or if you want to have this vote and go back to what we were doing before, I'm happy with that. I don't have a problem doing that, but let's hear what other people have to say. Rachel?
Yeah, I just would like to say that I really appreciate Erin giving the introduction and framing the project at the hearings. It's very helpful, especially since there often is a lot of last minute communication from the applicant or things that come to light right before the meeting. So there may be items that are able to be captured in a report that's published a week prior that Erin's able to give us insight on. And then additionally, Erin has a wealth of knowledge over many, many years of the nuances of permitting and regulations and how these projects might fit within that context that we rely on. And that's really helpful to have at the beginning of the discussion to be efficient with our time. And so as much, I do appreciate her reports, but I think if it's a choice between the reports or her talking, I would prefer her talking in our format.
Thanks, Rachel. We're going to continue this discussion after this next hearing, which it's now almost 7:30. I think we have a little bit more to discuss on this. Frankly, I want to know how is it that these new rules are coming up and why? And we are a commission. We're being told how to do our job by the chair, and I don't find that to be very democratic. Let's continue this after we have our next meeting. Okay, we're gonna go into our hearings now. Let's see. Each general procedures for fairness to all applicants. Each hearing has 20 dedicated minutes on the agenda. It's going to be 5 minutes of presentation by the applicant or representative. 5 minutes for, in this case, it's going to be 5 minutes for presentation by the town conservation agent. Then 5 minutes for public comment and 5 minutes for commissioners to discuss. All submitted materials need to be submitted by Wednesday, the week prior to the close of business. And everybody who presents must clearly state name and address of the project and preferred pronouns. Same with the members of the public, name, address, and any pronouns preferred. And please remain muted while not speaking. Refer questions to the chair. Thank you. And with that, we're going to start our first hearing. First hearing is a notice of intent by Goddard Consulting on behalf of Courtney Rose for the construction of a proposed single-family home and buffer zone restoration within buffer zone bordering vegetated wetlands at 30 Wildflower Drive. If we can, I noticed that there was one hand up earlier. Let's see.
Do you want me to let them speak and see what they are
Yeah,
here for?
please.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one hand raised, and that was Tim Stokes. Hello, Tim.
Hi.
How you doing? What
Good. I'm just querying because was on the agenda for the last meeting about 875 Belchertown Road, and I was listed as part of other business tonight, my application there, just to discuss the order of conditions. And I don't know whether or not that is going to be discussed tonight or whether it's necessary for me to be here, but I'm just checking to see if I need to be part of that.
Okay, yeah, we will be discussing that. It's on the agenda for after our hearings. So that's likely to be about 8:30 or so. Does that
Okay.
make sense, Aaron?
Yeah, so I actually had a little bit of an error with the timing of the hearing. So we're gonna have, after this hearing, we're gonna have a chunk of time. So we could probably cover that right after we continue this hearing.
Okay, after the first hearing. Okay, great. I'll stick around. Thank you.
Thanks. All righty. So now we'll bring up the folks who are going to talk on behalf of Courtney Rose.
So the applicant for this project actually only submitted their materials, I think it was late last night or early today. And considering how late the materials were submitted to the commission, they counted on having a continuation tonight. I did add the updated plan materials to the project folder, although I have not had a chance to review them yet. So they were anticipating having a continuance this evening.
Okay. Well, here we have it down at the bottom. There's if you all want, we can move to continue the public hearing for DEP number 089-0757 to August 13th, 2025 at 7:15 p.m. Looking for a motion.
I couldn't hear Alex.
Yeah, you need to turn off your, yeah, there you go, mute.
I did look at the proposal, and before we go to a motion, I just want to say thank you to the applicant for reducing the size of his house to better fit on the lot. and back up from the buffer. That was something we discussed last time we met on this project. It was also discussed during the site visit. I just wanted to acknowledge that and express appreciation for his cooperation.
Thanks, Alex. And yes, that's the best way to go about it, just by getting out of the buffer zones and the wetland. Anybody else? We have a motion.
Move to continue the public hearing for DEP number 0890757 to August 13th, 2025 at 7:15 PM.
Second,
All right, that was Bruce with a motion, Alex with a second. Alex,
aye.
Bruce,
Aye.
Rachel,
Hi.
Jason,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So we are now, we now have a little bit of time between now and 7:55, which is our next, our second hearing. It is now 7:36. Shall we discuss the 875 Belchertown Road and then go back to formats? Okay. And Tim, this is your turn here. We're gonna start discussing that. Aaron, you have a draft here.
Yes, yep, I have a draft order of conditions and there's a couple questions for commissioners in the draft order, specifically about the bounding for the mitigation area. So the lot is kind of an awkwardly shaped lot and it's kind of like a pork chop lot, if you will, where the driveway entrance comes off the road, but there's actually a shared driveway, so the right of way itself isn't being utilized for the driveway. It's coming through a separate easement area. And the commission had agreed at the meeting before closing the public hearing that the area across the driveway would be the proposed mitigation for the project. And so the question is, for the bounding and the signage, do you want it just up against the driveway or do you want it around the entire extent of the lot? And I can pull up a map if this is easier for you to see to understand what I'm saying.
Please.
I think Alex and I were the ones who were there in person. So yes, the plan would be helpful.
Okay. Just give me 1 second. Just pulling up the survey. Okay, let me try to share this so you can see. So this is the lot. And the driveway actually, where's the driveway? The driveway is like through, I want to say it comes through here. So there's like a driveway easement that goes over these other properties in order for, and this is a shared driveway that serves the 3 houses. So there's one house here, and then this is the proposed house. So the commission had agreed at the last meeting to close the public hearing. I think they were happy with the house being sort of as far away from the wetland as it could be, but across the driveway is the wetlands over here. And the buffer is, the buffer extent is quite a bit bigger. It's like this, something like this, right? So I guess the question is, when they bound it, how do you guys want it bounded? Do you just want it bounded on the driveway access so that the homeowner sees it across the driveway, or do you want it bounded on the property all the way around, like the extent of the parcel, like this? So that's the question.
I have a
Thanks.
request for clarification.
Go ahead.
Aaron, would you clarify clarify bounding from the perspective of the property owner. And for the commission, what she's talking about, the driveway, is the shared thing, which is barely room enough for 2 cars to park. There will be a driveway off that up to the house, not to get confused by the word driveway. So could you clarify, Aaron, what you're asking us about?
Yes, so there's 2 questions. The first is bounding. So typically the commission for a mitigation area will require some form of bounding around mitigation. So it might be boulders, it might be rebar, it might be split rail fencing. And then also frequently for mitigation areas, the commission will also require signage to say this is a designated mitigation area, and letting people know they can't dump clippings there or alter the area. And so the only real access to see the mitigation area is on the driveway. So this is all forested back here, and not really it's kind of off the beaten path. So I guess my question to try to clarify, because it's kind of a complicated question, is do you want just bounding and signage along the edge of the driveway so that this homeowner knows they can't do anything beyond the driveway edge? Or do you want this entire piece here bounded in some form or signed around its boundary?
Waiting for Andre to let us know how to proceed.
I'm sorry, I was muted and I asked Alex, is your question answered?
Well, yes and no, but I'd like to provide some context for the commissioners that haven't been to the site, if I may.
Okay, Bruce, do you have any?
Well, that's partly what I was going to do, but I also wanted to ask, you want Mr. Stokes back into this session?
Oh, I was, yeah, his hand is up. Allowed to talk.
There we go. Thank you.
Mr. Stokes, you're currently in. We do have a question that's going to be posed here first, or actually a quick explanation by Alex.
Sure,
Alex,
I'm here.
go ahead, and then we're going to get Jason, and then we'll go to Tim.
Okay.
I'm up next.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So for commissioners that haven't been there, if you're standing on the road where this house is going to be, in the wetland area that Erin has outlined in green, there's a very steep drop off.
There is, yes.
Steeper than you would want your kids to sled down.
Yeah, I think that's a safe thing to say. Yeah.
And so when they plow snow, snow is going to get pushed off the edge down the slope. And so access to the wetland is not as easy as you might think. So, and to put a fence or rocks would probably interfere with snow plowing. I think the steepness of the only thing that the steepness of the slope into the floodplain would not prevent is the dumping of trash and clippings and all that kind of stuff. So I would be cautious about split rail fences. There isn't much space once you get off the road to do something. There's the steep drop off is almost immediate.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there was any intention of creating some kind of notification or boundary to the homeowner to let them know that area is not to be developed or impeded on, it seems to me that signage seems to make the most sense, because boulders or large rocks, we just simply couldn't keep them there because the drop off is too steep and they'd end up down the embankment.
Okay.
And then a split rail fence also, for the reasons that member Hoare says, is that, it would likely impede access and plowing, etc. So it seems like just simple signage is probably the best move.
Appreciate your input there, Tim.
Sure.
I think the first question that we were looking for is, do we bound the entire area or the area right in front or none? So I think
Well-
that's what we need to be starting with, and then the type of
Okay. Well, I think
bounding would be the next. Tim,
sure.
hang on one sec.
Uh-huh.
All right, Alex, you're done. Go
I-
ahead.
I would just suggest that we bound the whole thing.
Well, okay, thanks. Tim?
Well, I think that what Ms. Jacques had noted is that interior of the lot, of the sort of wetland itself, is largely inaccessible from anywhere other than that edge of the driveway right there. It's kind of interior to there. It's not really accessible from Belchertown Road because it's kind of tucked way in there. And if the intent, as it seems to be through the order of conditions, is to prevent the homeowner from doing future work or using that area as a dumping ground of any kind, it seems like it makes the most sense to focus on that edge directly opposite the house. And I mean, I suppose you could address to the general public as well through bounding the whole thing, but I mean, I think that's, that could theoretically, it could have been happening all along at this point. It does not seem to have been an issue.
All right, Tim, thank you. What about down at the bottom of this area? I can't, this is so small, I can't tell what's north and south, but basically the bottom section here. Is that also inaccessible to the public? Tim?
Yeah, I mean, what it is the way the lots were created is the frontage is on Belchertown Road, which kind of continues in a kind of east-west.
Tim, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you for a second.
Sure.
You said that it's inaccessible from all sides. So I'm not talking about the law. You were talking about accessibility.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you specifically if it's accessible from the south or from that bottom part of the
And no, there's no roadway or anything that's there. No.
What about walking? What does the woods look like over there is what I'm.
It's a fairly steep drop off on the other side as well. And then it's just kind of wooded and goes up the hill. But there's no real walkway that I can see, or I've never seen a path or anybody walking up there.
All right. Okay, thanks, Tim. Did you have anything else to say?
No, I think that's it. I would just say that no, and I don't think we're objecting in principle to the concept of, bounding it in some way, but we just like to have a solution that takes into account the topography of that drop off, and the sort of primary purpose of that, but that I read in the order of conditions, which is to prevent the homeowner or any property owner there from further impacting that area. So it seems like it should focus on them. And that seems the most easiest way to do that seems to be directly opposite the property.
Okay, Tim, thanks.
Sure.
Jason, thanks for waiting.
Yeah, no problem. I just want to voice my opinion in that I think signs are the best way to bound it. I think they should be bound from the driveway, and I don't believe that the whole of the property needs to be bound. The homeowner seems to understand what's required of them and that they can't make impacts to the wetlands. So I'm somewhat familiar with the area over there. I don't think anybody's going to be going in there and dumping anything. And if they are, they're doing it illegally anyway. And a sign or a fence isn't going to really stop them, I don't think. So with all that in consideration, I think signage at the driveway, the common driveway, is the best way to go for bounding.
Thanks, Jason. And, I'll say that's, you said that for signs, Alex has said it for signs. I agree with the signs as well. Bruce?
I second what Jason said. I think signs just along the road are enough. but they should mention no dumping, even though people might do it anyway. I still think it should be stated directly.
I agree. Maybe a little bit, maybe a couple more signs off around the corner, once it turns to go either south or whatever direction that is. To show that it is, that it ends there and continues the other direction. But I think signs are the best option right there. You put a fence in there, it might get knocked over or whatever. Alex,
Yeah, I'm in agreement, road signs. The reason I said bound it all is because this is like forever. So, and I don't know what the future holds. So that was my thinking on why I said bound the whole thing. And if I was when you get down the slope, which is pretty quick, it's flat. It looks like a floodplain forest. It's a great place for a kid to go camping. Play Daniel Boone or whatever. And so, I can go with signage on the road. I just want to say that I said initially bound the whole thing if it's going to be signs, because I don't know what the future is.
yeah. I think that as far as, but the landowner is going to know this, right? The landowner is going to know that on their land, they're not supposed to do anything. So it would only be people from off their land coming onto their land and building or destroying stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And owners change.
Okay.
Everything, places get sold.
Mhm. In my opinion, I think bounding it along the road and a quick turn just to show where it's going is enough. I know, Alex, I understand what you're saying, and
That's fine with me.
I totally see it. Because it is forever, but I'm not seeing where someone from another property is going to come and bust into theirs. Or
I got it. I'm fine with that.
all right, so with that, it looks like we're all at least in agreement. It should be bound, and along the road at least. And I don't know. I suggest a bit on a turn, and Rachel has something else to supply here.
Yeah, I agree with those comments, and I'm just thinking about future owners and different timescales. And I know that we have a boilerplate text that talks about the order continues with the property regardless of who owns it. There's a note in there, which is good, that says the last note number 11, that says if the land changes ownership before or during construction, current owner shall notify new owner. I wonder if we should add another sentence in there that says this order shall be transferred to all future owners. So not just if it's under construction, that way property owner number 3 could say, couldn't say, I didn't know there were wetlands there.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
That was all.
Thanks, Rachel. All right, no need for a vote, or do we need a vote?
Yeah, so we would need to motion to approve and issue the order of conditions with the state and local conditions as drafted.
For 875 Belchertown Road.
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Go ahead.
As drafted or with Rachel's addition?
So I would include Rachel's edit as well as the commentary from regarding the signage at the driveway and on the sides as well.
So are we moving to have them approved as drafted or as drafted with our agreed upon additions?
That was my intent.
That's what I was looking to get moved.
Okay, I will second.
All right. Bruce with a motion, Jason with a second, and that is for as drafted with the with bounding along the road with a turn. Are we good there? All right. Bruce,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. All right, that was good. Thanks. Thank you, Tim. Hope you have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for getting to this quickly. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Okay, good night.
Now we're into the second hearing, which is at 7:55, just in time on time. Hearing number 2 is a notice of intent, GZA Geoenvironmental Inc. On behalf of Archipelago Investments LLC and Hampshire College for a proposed mixed-use residential development at 0 West Bay Road and 0 West Street. Proposed work includes construction of 3 mixed-use residential structures with associated parking, stormwater remediation, and landscaping, portions of which are located in the buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. This looks like it was requested to be continued to August 13th, 2025 at 7:20 p.m. Aaron, is there anything that we needed to discuss prior to a motion?
No, I have not received any updates from the applicant. No revisions have been submitted or new materials. It was just the request to continue to the meeting on August 13th.
And any reason for that, Aaron? Did they mention that?
I think they are working on revisions to the plan design, and I know that they did meet internally with the planning department to review some of those. So I think that they're trying to sort of vet the ideas that they have with the planning department, because they're going through planning as well as conservation with the design concepts.
All right, thanks. All right, unless we have anything to discuss, I'm looking for a motion.
Can we see if there are public members? Or this is commonly one that there are people.
Yeah, let's do it. We and I will note, I think we got at least a couple of written comments. As we have been consistently, I think the public has been very interested in this project, and so because of that, we've been seeing a fair amount of comments. So anyone from the public? I see Maria Kopicki here. Hello, Maria. You're muted right now, but I just you know.
Yeah, got it. Sorry, I had to close the door to block
Absolutely.
my noisy household. So thank you, Maria Kopicki, Country Corners Road, South Amherst. So yes, appreciate the opportunity to say something. I just, this is just a plea, since things are kind of in a state of we don't know. And it's very difficult. I mean, I've mentioned this before. I'm sure it's really difficult for you guys as commissioners. It's also difficult for members of the public when we have no clue what's going to pop up on August 13th. So I don't know what you can do about it. I know you've got this rule about people are supposed to send you stuff the week before. And Aaron, I know that you're really great about posting things when you get them, but it's just a plea to give everybody as much of a heads up as you humanly can, so we can all, react and have discussions and talk about what's out there. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll note that on the Conservation Commission website, there's a link, or there are links to meeting packets for the week. In those meeting packets, you'll typically find an agenda which will show what we're going to be discussing. Do we have any better suggestions, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, so we get it if if applicants submit revised materials, they're supposed to get it to us the Wednesday prior to the next scheduled meeting. And I typically send out board packets, upload board packets the following day. So the public is getting these materials in the same exact time that the Conservation Commission is in real time. So certainly as soon as I receive the revisions, I can set up a packet and get them uploaded. And yeah, and I apologize because it has just been really, really busy. And our next meeting on August 13th is going to have 8 hearings. So just to prepare everyone that we're going to have a really busy meeting, but I'll do my best to get revisions uploaded as quickly as they come into me.
Just to be clear, I have no problem with the commission and with Erin. You guys are doing, you know, an amazing job, and that's not where the hangup is. It's when there's, you know, when there's a bunch of slides that I know that you haven't even seen yet, that get posted. You know, it just kind of, it makes it hard for it to be a public hearing, since we don't know what we're seeing. So you guys are great. I got no problem with you guys.
Just out of clarification, Maria, so what you're talking about isn't whether something is on the agenda or not. You're talking about the specifically the documents that are uploaded?
Correct. Yeah. So that we know, you know, what are we talking about? Like the last time was just like, well, now maybe it's 2 buildings or whatever, you know, it's that kind of thing, so that my entire neighborhood is, you know, you're like the top rated show. Right. So we're all trying to understand what's happening. And we want to be able to contribute, and we want to be able to, you know, get somewhere. So it's just really, people don't know what to say. It's just like, I don't know, you know, I have no idea how I feel about this because I only just saw it like 2 seconds ago.
So just be assured that that, like Erin said, the Thursday before the meetings, the material is going to be uploaded onto the website. And essentially, if it doesn't make the cut, it's highly unlikely that we're going to be discussing it.
Okay, thank you.
When it's simple, but yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Yep. There we go. Thanks, Maria, for your comment. I don't see anybody else, but I do see Bruce.
Well, I'm just gonna review something that it took me a long time to learn it. And you probably all already know this, and Maria probably knows it too. When you go to the website, the meetings are in order from the past to the present, which is at the very bottom. And when you go into it, then there are sections. And when you want to look at something, you think, oh, it's not there because it's not to the side. You have to go all the way back up to the top to find the document. And Erin has tried to get the IT people to fix this, probably can't be done. So just know that they're there. You just have to be patient and go find it. Thank you.
It's a little bit cumbersome, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So next is any other comments? Did we? I don't think we made a motion. I'm sorry.
There's a motion listed.
We did make a motion.
Not yet.
Okay. So let's get on that then.
So I'll move to continue the public hearing for DEP number 089-0752 to August 13th, 2025 at 7:20 p.m.
Jason with a motion.
Second.
Bruce with a second.
Aye.
Bruce? Alex, go ahead.
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Chair.
Yes, sir.
Aaron, just for the record, I'll be on vacation on the 13th. I think I can be present, but that depends on internet and all that kind of stuff. So I'll keep you posted. And I don't know if my absence would create a quorum problem. I have a similar question.
Was it decided that we are only meeting once in August?
I don't remember that discussion, but we were gonna talk about it unless, yeah, go ahead. Aaron?
Yeah, so this was a question that we briefly touched on. I think we circulated to see if members were available, and the discussion was all the members were available potentially for both meetings in August. It has been common to cancel one meeting in August, just to give, well, mostly me an opportunity to take a vacation, because it's been like fast and furious since February, and I have literally, like, other than kids being sick, not taken a day. And I do have a vacation tentatively lined up, but I'm going to be working on my vacation because it's the only way for me to post the packets and post the agendas and all those kinds of things. So that is the challenge, but we also are we have a lot of business going on, so I don't want my vacation to interfere with the 8 hearings on the agenda either. So for what it's worth, that's the backstory.
8th, the 13th, not on the, whatever the next one is.
So let's have this discussion via email and figure it out if that's
All
okay.
right, thank you.
That way we'll take care of it and figure out whether we cancel, don't cancel, or there are days when folks can't make it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, we're going to the third hearing, which will also be continued. Third hearing for 8 o'clock. We're 7 minutes late, but it all is okay. Is an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. Bacon Wilson, PC, on behalf of Colonial Village Development LLC for the confirmation of isolated vegetated wetland boundaries under Wetlands Protection Town of Amherst General Bylaw and Regulations at 162 East Street and 81 Belchertown Road. So it looks like we're going to be continuing it. Aaron, is there anything, are there items that we would like to discuss tonight?
Well, so the applicant is here for this one, and they did submit a plan, although it came in a couple days after our Wednesday deadline. I did in my report identify some issues that still need to be resolved with the plans, but if it's entirely at the chair's discretion as to, if you'd like for me, I can pull in the applicant and let them explain the updates and or whatever you'd like to do from here.
Yeah, I think it makes sense that we bring them in and see what they can tell us for these updates that we haven't really had the best chance to look at. And if there's anything else that we need to discuss, we can take care of it then. Tom, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you. Thanks for having us.
You bet. And who's here for Fleetwood?
Dave Cameron.
Dave Cameron, president of Prime Minister. You haven't heard.
I'm a moonlighter.
Okay. Please, Tom or Dave.
Dave, if you want to take it and maybe give him the update.
Yeah, sure. So David Cameron, Fleetwood Environmental Solutions LLC, here on behalf of Colonial Village Development LLC.
I'm sorry, Dave, can you speak a little louder? Some
Oh,
of us can't hear as well.
sometimes my microphone has issues. Let me
Okay.
scooch closer. Is that better?
I do hear you better. Yeah.
Okay. So David Cameron, Fleetwood Environmental Solutions LLC, here on behalf of Colonial Village Development LLC. In terms of updates, I think, so when we met 2 weeks ago, it was right on the heels of the second site inspection that Aaron and I had conducted together, or site walk. And we, since that site walk, reflagged a portion of wetland 2. We added some additional flags. We hung flags at a newly discovered isolated wetland, which is wetland 4. We had those flags surveyed by Huntley Associates and plotted on a revised site plan, which was provided to the commission late in the day last Friday. And prior to that, prior to the last meeting, we had provided a very detailed description of kind of the historical status of the stormwater system at the site, which was requested by the commission at our first hearing. So I'm not sure if the members have had a chance to take a look at that, but hopefully that was clear enough and made sense. We did get Aaron's comments today, and Aaron, I think those were good and reasonable comments. We want to be, I mean, we're trying to establish jurisdiction here, so we need to be precise in our language. So I thought those were good comments. I've passed those along to Huntley Associates, who's working on the site plans. Not surprisingly, they didn't get a chance to tackle those today. They're busy. But I didn't take exception to any of those comments. So I think we're in good shape to get those done.
Great. Yep. Yeah, David, yeah, I mean, essentially, if we don't use the technical term that are terms that are defined in the law, then essentially that's up to interpretation.
Yeah.
Tom, you're an attorney, right? There you go. Yeah. Okay. I spent my whole career working around laws, so. All right. Anything else? How about so you've seen Aaron's comments and you're in agreement with them. Is there anything else, Aaron? Would you mind giving us a quick your thoughts real briefly?
Sure. So, I mean, I think the plan, again, I'm not sure whether the flagging was picked up by a ground-based survey, but if it was, then it would be great to have the surveyor's stamp on the final plan. There was some inconsistencies again with the labeling of the wetlands. So, two of them were labeled like local wetland, I believe, and one of them was labeled isolated vegetated wetland, and then another had another term attached to it. So just to get them all consistently labeled as isolated wetlands, I think is what we're looking for. And then just again, I'm not married to what you guys label that stormwater structure. I just want to make sure it's identified as something stormwater related so that it's clear that that's not a wetland, that it is in fact a stormwater structure. Since there are hydric soils in it, I think it's important for us to designate it as either a stormwater structure or a wetland. So if we could just be a little more, I guess, apply a term to it which can be tied back to like the BMP manual in some way. Again, I'm not expecting that was designed to meet the BMP manual specifications. It's more to say like, this is a stormwater swale or something so that we know it's not a wetland.
Yeah, so the request that I made of Huntley was to relabel all the wetlands, number 1 through 4, as isolated vegetated wetlands, and to characterize and label that feature that you were just talking about as a grass swale, and to stamp and put a new date on the site plan. So those are the requests I've made. Michael is the project engineer, so I just want to make sure he's comfortable with that terminology. Grass swale, that seemed to be the one that best applied, but I'll have to defer to him on that, and if something changes, we'll let you know. But revised site plan is in the works.
Great, thanks, David. Aaron, is that what you were just discussing, that last item? Is that the depression in Monotop existing subsurface pipe stormwater that you were mentioning?
Exactly, and I'd be more than happy with it being labeled stormwater swale. That would be fine.
Great. So I think we're all. I think everybody's good still. Is there any further guidance needed here on this one, or?
No,
think so.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, David.
I've got dueling hearings for August 13th, so I've got to figure out where I'm going to be. So I guess for me, I just want to make sure if there's anything else that we need to be thinking about between now and then, just if you could tell us now. Because if we make these changes, and my impression is those are changes that the commission wants to see, my presence at this particular hearing on the 13th might not be critical.
Can I say something,
Mhm.
Andre?
Yes.
From my perspective, if you come through with the noted revisions, my hope would be, and again, we have 8 hearings that night, but my hope would be that I'd have something drafted that night for approval so we could move on it. So if all of the revisions are added to the plan, I would expect, or I'm hopeful that we would not even really need to take any much testimony that night from the applicant, that it should be pretty straightforward. I did want to say, Andre, before we motion to continue this, could you just check if there's any public comments?
I will. Thanks. And I think that's a good plan to make it easy on everybody, as long as everything's done. If there's any member of the public who would like to speak on this hearing, please raise your voice, your hand, and I'll bring you in as a commentator. Not seeing anything for the moment. So Bruce has a question or comment. Go ahead, Bruce.
I just want to check with Tom Reedy. Will you be here on the 13th so that there is someone representing the project?
I'm actually supposed to be away on the 13th.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. It's up to you. It's up to the applicant. I was just asking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we want to continue it just because, I mean, getting the order of resource area delineation is obviously important to move to the next steps of the project. So if I can't be here, I'll have somebody else here to cover. So
Okay.
I
Thank
wouldn't
you.
want to change it for me.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
I might be available too. We'll figure it out on our end.
Or I'll
Okay.
just do it from the beach if you want to see the waves in the background.
Yeah, as long as you leave your little drink out of the way.
Who told you?
Okay. Well, it looks like we're ready for a motion, folks. If you guys would like to move to continue the public hearing for DEP number 089-0752 to August 13th, 2025 at 7:25 p.m., that would be great.
So moved.
Sorry, no, I have a
Yes,
point of
question.
order here. The last hearing for GZA Archipelago Group
Yes.
was listed as DEP number 089-0752. This one is also listed as DEP number 089-0752.
The same number. You're right.
Oh. You know what? That's
Sorry.
actually an error because there's not a DEP file number on this one, I don't believe. So if you could just
I'll do it.
Do you not get one, Aaron?
Move to continue the public hearing to August 13th, 2025 at 7:25 p.m.
I have an FNN if you want me to forward it to you, Aaron. Did you not receive it?
is it the one on the slide, the 756? Is
Then
that accurate?
Bear with me 1 second. I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Sorry, I was not sure because it was a local permit if it had a DEP number.
Oh gosh, where is it? Oh, here it is. It's 089-0756.
All right, we just need to turn that.
Okay, I got it.
The 6. So we looking for a motion to continue the public hearing for DEP number 089-0756 to August 13th, 2025 at 7:25 p.m.
So moved.
All right, who was that? Is that Alex?
It
says
moved it?
me.
Jason
Oh,
moved.
Jason. Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Bruce with a second. Bruce,
Aye.
Rachel,
Hi.
Alex,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Good eye there, Jason. Thanks for
Thank you.
getting there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, David and Tom.
You
Enjoy
bet.
your vacation.
See ya.
Okay. Now that we move to other business, we've issued the order of conditions. We have requests for certificates of compliance for Station Road, the Norwottuck Trail. Let's discuss that, and then we can talk about format, if you would like.
Okay.
So, Aaron, I'm looking for your comments on Station Road, if you could, please.
Thanks. Yeah, so this is a request for certificate of compliance for the rail trail work that was done. I believe it was originally permitted in 2022. And I do have some concerns about this particular one. The compliance with the order was a little bit challenging throughout because they were not submitting monitoring reports on a weekly basis as they were required to as part of their order. And then they never contacted me for a final inspection prior to removal of controls, and it appears controls were removed, and I went out to do an inspection to see if the area was stabilized, and I did put pictures in the folder, and several of the shoulders of the bike path where work was immediately adjacent to wetlands, the shoulders were not stable. They were completely dirt right to the wetlands edge. So I'd like to issue a response to the request on town letterhead on behalf of the commission, if it's acceptable to the commission, that basically outlines the fact that they'd never requested a final inspection and that the shoulders are not adequately stabilized for us to issue a final certificate on this yet. You're muted, Andre.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. Bruce.
Who's the they? Who's the applicant? Who is doing this?
It was
That's
DCR.
DCR.
Yeah.
Okay. What we should, I agree with sending a notice. Get the attention of the new commission.
Great. Thanks, Bruce. I ride my bike there often enough that you can see where it's bare on the sides, right, and it's right next to the wetland. So I'm in agreement with you as well. So I think I don't know, unless so let's see what the other folks have to say, and what the if the public has anything to say as well. Anyone else of the from the commissioners? So what's visible is it I mean, there are spots where I think we have maybe, just to give you some perspective, maybe 4 feet or so between the edge of the rail trail and the wetland, and it's on both sides of the road. I mean,
Right.
this was a railway, an elevated railway that was going right through the wetland. And so essentially on the majority of that area there on both sides of Station Road, it's essentially on has wetlands on both sides for a large portion of that. And I have seen where things got worn down and there's not, and it really hasn't grown back well. Anyone else? Anybody from the public who would like to speak to the rail trail in the Station Road area? I don't see any hands up. And in the meantime, if we have any more comments from our commissioners. Would we need to vote for this, or okay? Raise your hand if you're in favor of sending DCR a letter for them to complete their their job. Okay, everyone except Alex. Okay, let's do that. With that, we move to our earlier discussion on format of our meetings. I've looked at the video from last week, and I've seen how that went with the new format of having the conservation agent, Aaron, do a big write-up and then not be asked to speak during the hearings. Frankly, I can't agree more with what Alex said. What Alex said before about this not saving any time, and essentially Aaron's doing 10 hours of work there to write something up, which is helpful, but I want to hear Aaron's opinions verbally rather than read a document that she's written, and I think it's easier for everybody if that happens that way. Rachel was the last person to comment. Rachel, could you just summarize real quick what you had said?
I said that I valued Aaron's introduction at the beginning of each hearing, both because often a lot of new information comes in between the week prior, and there are things that maybe can't be captured in her report the week prior because they happen between in that week, and then also that she has a lot of knowledge of the regulations over time, lots of different nuances and experience of how a particular project may fit in with the regulations and context of history that is really valuable to frame the discussion and keep us efficient and focused as we discuss the project. So I really value that. We might bumble along without her direction and meetings more without her input.
Thank you. I agree with you. We need Aaron to help help put context into things, and yeah. Bruce.
Well, in general, I agree with both what we all experienced and what other people have said. At the same time, it does seem like it's an experiment that's being attempted, and I think we should at least ask, I guess it's Dave and Michelle who had the idea, what's the logic and what is the experiment that we're undergoing, and give them a chance to describe it without really saying hard and fast, we're opposed to this. I think we should hear more from them. What's the logic here?
Makes sense. Frankly, I don't like I don't like being dictated how these meetings are going to run without us agreeing on it before it's being dictated. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, and also that I don't want to. I would like to hear from Aaron when we are discussing different hearings and other things. So thanks for your input, Bruce. Alex, you can't. Yeah, you're muted. There you go.
At least I'm obeying the order to mute. I agree with Andre. I don't agree with Bruce. I would like to, this never came to the commission for discussion at all. And I don't want to put Erin on the spot tonight and ask her how she feels about it, because that, if she wants to, fine, but I don't want to ask her to and I don't want to put her on the spot. And I would like for us to think about the fact that we're the commission. This is, we're in charge of how the thing runs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important, I think, how the commissioners value Aaron's input. And I'd like to hear about that. And I would appreciate it if everybody's in agreement to bring it to a vote tonight.
Okay.
Because if we kick the ball down the road, it means Aaron has to do another report and spend another 10 hours. And if we're of the opinion that that's a waste of time, then let's end it tonight.
Okay. I mean, I think, what I'm gonna put up there is that again, I feel like this was, and I use the word dictated, but essentially what happened was the format changed and none of us were consulted on it. And so somehow, somewhere, there was discussion that we're not privy to. And I don't really agree with things happening that we are not understanding. Things, I don't know what was, I don't know why this is happening, but what I've seen over the last bunch of months is that we're having things, we're having discussions and conclusions drawn and that the general commissioners have not been privy to. And this is a democratic institution. We should be democratic, and I feel like there's been some there's things that we should all be discussing instead of trying to figure out why. And Bruce, I get it. I see what you're saying. You want to know why, but the fact is that they don't need to change it. This doesn't need to be changed until we have that discussion. So I'm all for that vote. But I would love to hear from Jason, because we've heard from everyone else. You don't have to speak if you don't have an opinion.
I have an opinion. And I think I stated it the last time that I don't think it's necessary for Erin to do all this work. I would rather her speak during the meetings, and it was a change that I agree nobody really knew was happening. So I prefer to go back to the way it was and not have her prepare this memo.
Thanks, Jason. Well, we can always discuss this in the future and run it through, so that we can all give our opinions and ideas and formulate how we're going to do this. But if somebody wants to, after we're done commenting, if somebody wants to make a motion for a vote, I'm all for that. Rachel.
I'd just like to add that there have been times in the past prior to this change that Aaron did drop a memo to the commission, just to flag if there's something seemed especially worth noting, and that had been helpful. It wasn't necessarily for all projects, and I just want to make a note that if Aaron felt, if we go back to the original system, that we wouldn't be saying we don't want that, we don't want those notes from Aaron, that if she felt like we really needed to see something or she really wanted to highlight something, that we definitely would welcome that.
Great. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, every time that when you've seen something that needed emphasis, you've written us memos. Do we have a motion then?
Well, Bruce has his hand up.
Yeah, he just put it up when you said, well. Bruce?
I don't think we need a formal motion. I think you as the chair have a sense of this meeting and all the people in it. And I think you could write to the chair and to Dave and say we would like to go back to the prior system and if that's problematic, then they should bring it back to us for discussion. Something along that line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to. So let's just do a vote on going back to the former format and go from there. Whoever wants to go back to the former format, put your hand up. All right. So Alex counts for 2. All right, we have all of us voting for. Well, thanks on that. We do need you, Aaron, and that's and we want to hear from you. So
Yeah.
verbally.
Well, can I make a closing comment?
We're not done yet. We're unless you want a closing comment on this topic?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Last week you weren't here, but if you looked at the tape, you heard Dave compliment us on our workload. And Dave said we are the busiest board commission in town. And he didn't have to say that. And it kind of came out of the blue. But he meant it. And he complimented Erin for her ability to get a tremendous amount of work done. And that said, I just want to say that I think that 10 hours of extra work is a burden. And when I looked at Erin's face during that meeting last week, she looked glum.
It was 100% obvious.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Like she got a muzzle on her. I don't mean that in any other way. Go ahead, Alex. I interrupted you.
Let's say what?
I interrupted you there, or maybe I didn't. You were done.
I'm done.
Okay. And Bruce, your hand is up. I don't know if you meant to say something.
I have 2 things. One, I think you were going to go to 11 Trillium Way, which we need to do. But also, I wanted to get Aaron. Can you give us any update about filling the empty commissioner's seat?
I can't. I know that there was some interviews held with a couple folks, but I just don't know where it's gone from here.
Even that is information I didn't have. So
Yeah.
thank you. That's all I need.
All right, great. That's it. All right. And I will say something that I would like to see us with a new chair in the next soon. I think it's time for a change. It doesn't have to, I don't care if it's me or not, but I think we need a new chair. I just put that out, throw that out there, and we can discuss whenever. Compliance update. We got 11 Trillium Way. And Aaron, if you could give us well, I guess it says update is expected following site visit on 7/22. Who was Aaron? Could you just give us a quick rundown there, and then we'll go to the commissioners who were there.
Sure. So Bruce and I went out, was it Tuesday? Yeah, yesterday, and had a quick look. So we did give authorization to remove the filter fabric silt fence from the property, because it was actually the site is the upper sort of plateau above the slope is completely stabilized at this point, and there was a ton of frogs that were hopping trying to get down towards the wetland, and they couldn't get over the fence. So we actually like physically with the owner were like tearing out the fence.
See, this is on the ground conservation work.
Yes.
This is what we're talking about.
It was true on the ground work. And we did look at the slope. So I would say on each side of the slope, vegetation had really well established itself. Sort of on the center of the area where it was most shaded, the vegetation wasn't as well established, which was surprising considering that we hadn't been out there since the fall. So, I mean, just my thoughts looking at it were, I do think that the site is going to rebound if it's left alone. There are still jute erosion control blankets and seed was put down in the areas that have not established themselves yet. And also I think now that the silt fence has come out, that water is going to more freely move down the slope, which is going to put more water on the slope to potentially get some vegetation growing. So I'm not really in favor of us requiring any additional plantings on the slope at this time. I would prefer to see natives reestablishing on the slope, and I think it is, I would say 80% established, and I think it's very stable at the present time.
No, I agree with that. Ken, tell me if this works. Is this clear
Pretty clear.
now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
clear
we
as
can
mud.
see it,
What frog is this?
little spots.
That looks like a pickerel.
The pickerel frog?
Let me see. There's a pickerel and the other one's a leopard. This is a pickerel, I think.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's what was jumping all around. They were about this long.
Nice.
And it was great. They was
They were
everywhere.
everywhere.
Over here around my house, I typically find them on the grass.
Yeah, that's
On the grass.
where they were.
And when
Exactly.
I come up, when I come up, they tear out to the pond and jump in the water, but takes
Yeah.
5 or 6 long leaps.
Yeah. Anyway, very entertaining.
Cool. So as far as Trillium Way, still waiting, right? No action. Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We had an outstanding enforcement situation there, so I think I guess my recommendation to staff would be that we issue them a letter, which basically says, we've allowed the site we believe the site's stable, and that we would consider the site now to be in compliance, and that from henceforth we would expect that the area that's bounded, from the area that's bounded on the edge of the lawn area down to the wetland and stream, is going to be left as essentially a mitigation area on the site to not be disturbed in perpetuity, and just close it out at this point.
Makes sense. Will we need to vote on it?
If you like to, that would be fine, I think.
Okay, well, let's do it. We'll just do a by hand, or should we do a regular vote here? Let's vote
Mm,
by hand. I'm all
No.
for.
No,
What's that?
I'm disagreeing.
Okay.
I think it should be a vote of record. And I was just trying to think, in the past,
Well, let's just do a vote of record.
yeah, somebody commented that they wanted people visible and audible and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion to issue a letter to 11 Trillium Way stating that they are now in compliance, and to leave the bounded area in perpetuity as a type of mitigation.
So moved.
Thank you, Alex. I'll second it.
All right, Alex on the motion, Bruce on a second. Bruce,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
no, I'm an aye. Monitoring reports, do we have any to review? We did have 2, right?
There were there were some notable monitoring items. I'll be very brief. So on 7/15, there was some turbidity detected in the Tan Brook, and it was actually discovered by our environmental scientist with DPW, and she reached out to me. I had assumed that it had been coming from the ARHS track and field site, and so we did some investigation, asked the contractor to, well, number one, add some additional measures to all of the catch basins and the inlets on the site. So I requested, in addition to the existing silt sacks, to add stone around all of the basins, and also add a circle of compost sock around the catch basins to try to get the turbidity out. They checked all of the catch basins and there was no turbidity in any of the catch basins. So this is kind of a mystery. We don't know if there's like a sinkhole around one of the underground pipes that's carrying the Tan Brook, or if it's coming in from a catch basin somewhere else. But we are aware of it. Somebody had called, I guess, who lives along the Tan Brook to report it. So we are aware of it, and we're continuing to monitor it and trying to find the source of where it's coming from. But we don't have any reason to believe that it's coming from the track and field project. So I just wanted to note that. The UMass Pavilion finally took down erosion and sediment controls up there. So just wanted to kind of close that one out with everyone, because that was a really intense project. The Harkness Road, there's a single family house project there, and because of some erosion and sedimentation issues, actually originally discovered by Alex, I requested that they do seed some loam seed and erosion control blankets, which they completed late last week. So there's some additional measures to try to get some vegetation established out there, and there was a couple erosion control breaches, so we're working to try to hopefully prevent that from happening again. And I did an inspection at the UMass geothermal site, and they were using plastic netting on the erosion control blankets, and I had to tell them, you've got to pull it and put down jute. So this has been an ongoing issue. Even though it's written into our orders of conditions, people are still using the plastic, and it's, all the time. So I'll continue to monitor that, but it's, it pops up a lot. So just wanted to share those.
Is there, should we like underline the word plastic in the order of conditions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's polypropylene, and I have specifically been including conditions more recently that say no polypropylene materials or photodegradable materials, to try to really emphasize that those products are not permitted to be used.
Okay. Anything else? Any other ones?
I mean, if you look in the monitoring folder, there's a ton. So I'm sure there were other issues, but those were kind of the big ones that I wanted to share.
Thank you. And we've got Bruce, who's got a question.
I was just going to ask Aaron if there's any reason why any commissioner should not stop their car, go out and test a sock as to whether it's plastic or not every time we see one.
A sock?
Well, the thing that you're describing, this.
Oh, the erosion control blankets?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're more than welcome to. They look almost like fishnet.
It's the flat part, not the round.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Right. Well, if I see one, I'll stop and test it. I yield to Jason and Alex.
Jason?
Yeah, I wanted to just step in and, say two things. One, this is mainly for erosion control blankets. So bear in mind your compost filter socks, your inlet bags, your silt fence. A lot of those are made with photodegradable poly products. But, Bruce, you took a picture of that frog.
Yeah.
The reason why, one of the big reasons why these photodegradable erosion control blankets are really bad is because generally they are one or two nets, a top net, and then straw or maybe coconut and a bottom net. And the straw and the coconut biodegrade, leaving the mesh behind, which just ensnares things like all those frogs or snakes or lizards, and then also can potentially get caught up in lawnmower blades and then just get ripped out and ripping out all of it. But the ensnarement is a big problem with small creatures. So
Okay,
I just want to differentiate. It's the erosion control blanket.
fair enough. Thank you. I got it. I won't stop for the other ones.
Yeah, and the jute netting is a good alternative, but there's any place where any contractor is going to buy that product from that has the photodegradable netting, they can also buy a biodegradable alternative. These are not new. They're not like rare. They're easy to find. They're everywhere. So it's just a matter of generally cost. But um, even at this point in time, I don't think the cost difference is that great anymore.
Okay.
Great. I was going to say something on that. I can't remember. Alex?
I was just gonna ask if, about cost, and maybe Jason answered my question, but
So you're all set, Alex?
did I goof?
No, you said but, and then I didn't hear the rest.
I'm trying to turn my camera back on. I'm gonna ask Aaron or Jason or whoever knows, is cost such a factor? Is it that much cheaper with the plastic in it that's what people go to, even though it's harmful? I just don't know what the incentive is for them to put down plastic versus something environmentally friendly.
I will say they'll claim cost is a big burden, but I don't believe generally it is. Where cost really, with that type of product, where cost really becomes a concern is on much larger projects. You know, where you're doing hundreds of thousands of square yards. You know, the difference in 15 cents a square yard adds up at that point. But if you're doing like a yard or even, you know, even the pavilion project up at this UMass pavilion project, they had a bunch down. It's not, I don't believe it's that great of a cost. When you're looking at a multi-million-dollar project to, you know, a difference in 10 cents a square yard over, you know, 300 square yards is nothing, in my opinion.
So why do we have this problem?
It's just, I think, that's what people are used to. It's been what's used. It's kind of been the standard. Like silt fence is a standard sediment control, so everybody just goes for silt fence. And then straw wattles was the next thing to come along, and then people start using that and think that's the best. Now compost socks are kind of the newest thing. They've proven to be better than the other two. They're a little more expensive, but everybody's just used to silt fence. So I think it's just a matter of habit, honestly.
I think there's also a generally like folks are unaware that it's not a good product. I think a lot of people think, oh, well, it's biodegradable because it's photodegradable, but it's not fully biodegradable. If vegetation grows over it and sun can't get to the polypropylene, then it doesn't degrade and it ends up washing away and becoming microplastics in the environment. So while there's this sort of perception that it's safe and that it's environmentally friendly, you got to kind of read the fine print and understand exactly what happens when it degrades. So,
and maybe as an incentive to the homeowners doing any kind of landscaping on top of that. I've gotten stuff caught up, those rolls caught up, and trying to it's a real pain if it's not entirely biodegraded. If you have a bunch of pieces of plastic or the whole thing that you're ripping apart, it's just, it can be a nightmare.
Thank you.
Yeah. And generally, I would like to ask one last thing is generally these things are there as an erosion control just until vegetation gets established. And it's like, you know, trying to swat a fly with a wrecking ball. It's going to be there forever if it gets covered and is not exposed to UV. It won't break down. And it just doesn't from an environmental standpoint, it just doesn't make sense.
So what can we do better to get what we want?
Enforcement. Like if you see it, make them remove it. I think you have to either make it far more costly for them to use it and then have to remove it and replace it than it ever will be for them to read the rules or understand the rules and use the biodegradable one to begin with. That's what's, you know, that's what I think all of this comes down to is enforcement.
Yeah, and
I
I've
think
been, oh, I'm
I think
sorry.
sorry, if it's seen that this will not be tolerated, then they will the rest of the the folks will do what we're asking, and not put the non-biodegradable stuff or whatever photo degradable stuff down.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. I've been trying to, at pre-construction meetings, go through the order of conditions with people very deliberately and pointing out conditions like this. So a good example is I just did the pre-construction for the 170 University Drive, and I said specifically, if you're using erosion control blankets, you cannot use this specific type. So I've been very deliberately doing it, but even when I do deliberately do it, they still use it. Like, I mean, some applicants have still used it after I deliberately told them. So it's,
I think we've come up with a bit of a solution to that. Meaning, I mean, I guess a reversal of it. In the future, if that happens, I think I think it does make a lot of sense. What Jason said is to just take it out, put a new one in.
Mhm.
We don't want that in there, especially when we've told them not to, or requested that they not put it in. Alex?
Could we post something on our website to give people notice that I just throw that out there. I don't know if we do that kind of thing, but the town posts things. I'm not suggesting it be at the top of the web, but I just throw that out there. Give people a heads up instead of banging somebody on the head first.
Thanks, Alex. Are there any topics that we had not anticipated before the meeting, 48 hours before the meeting?
Were there two things we wanted to talk about? I couldn't remember. Two sidebar things.
I think you wanted to mention dogs, the
Oh
dog
yeah,
thing.
yeah. I would like to bring that up with your permission, Chair.
Absolutely.
So there was this thing that Aaron brought up about, or it was a public comment about the woman who had a rough time at Amethyst Brook. Rough time in several counts, being yelled at, a dog on a bridge, off leash, and so on and so forth. And she said, I may file with the police. And my comment was, she should file with the police so that there's a record. When I call up the police and I say, have you ever had any problems with such and such? They say, we have no record of that. And yet we know we've had a problem. So yes, file with the police. But I also wanted to say that our rules that we're going to be approving one of these days gives the Conservation Commission or the Department of Conservation authority to close areas if dogs, and particularly the off-leash areas, become a problem and people aren't complying. But I also wanted to say that I think Dave, is in his job, has the authority to do that, whether it's in our rules or not. And I don't know if we should act on one comment, but it might be fair to ask, what does the signage actually say now? I think it says off leash during certain hours. I don't think it says this area is subject to closure if you don't obey the rules. And that might be a good idea down at Mill River and Amethyst Brook. And it may be a good idea to put a couple of signs. Jason uses Amethyst Brook, for example, and I'm like him. He said, I'm all ready to get going when I get there, and I don't stop necessarily to read the signs. I think that's true of a lot of the public. It's true of me. When I go to Wentworth Farm, I do not stop and read the latest on the bulletin board. So I just throw it out for discussion by the commission about what to do to kind of correct some behavior that we know is out there, and what the appropriate steps are.
Alex, does you had the 10 o'clock cutoff and the that's in the new regs, is that correct?
Yeah, no, it exists now.
From before, okay, and now the
What's
the
new
ability
and
to close the area, that's in the new regs, is that right?
yeah, up to a month.
Okay. Well, that's one of the items, and we could put I think we should request that a sign be put up out there once we approve it, once it's fully approved and in effect. But you know, if there's a loose dog or something, you know, if there's a loose dog out there, I think that we should encourage folks to report it to the to animal control. I know in this case, they stated that the animal control officer was busy. But however, in this case, there were two different issues here. The first issue being the dog, and the second issue being the dog's owner. And the interaction with the dog's owner, in my opinion, is a police matter. And the first thing that this person should have done, if they were scared, which they stated, they should have called the police. I'm not saying this to denigrate the person. I'm saying that for the best effect, for the protection that she needed in that situation, the police would have taken care of that. And I think that's a good call to make. Again, we have issues of dogs, and we have issues of dog owners. And when it's the owners versus another user, then that's a police issue. And I think we need to make sure that, you know, if we're going to give a guidance, that's the guidance we should be given. If that makes any sense. Jason.
Andre, I agree with what you just said as far as the getting the police involved with the owner. And I think that this is an animal control officer issue, just like we just talked about with erosion control blanketing. It's an enforcement thing. People just go out there and do whatever they want. On so many trails here, so much of the conservation area, people just let their dogs run. And people don't feel comfortable confronting another person saying, hey, you know, you're breaking the rules and you're not supposed to let your dog run here. But then us closing a conservation area for a month, also, how are we gonna, I'm just thinking of Amethyst Brook. There's so many ways that you can just get in there through like neighborhoods and things. Like, realistically, how do you close it down? you put some tape up in the parking lot, you say this area is closed. I mean, how long until somebody just comes in and is like, all right, whatever, I'm just gonna walk through and go walk, and you're coming from trails. It doesn't seem to me like a realistic expectation to curb somebody's behavior. And I don't think we can try, like, I think having animal enforcement or some enforcement mechanism directed specifically at individuals is the only way to get those individuals to change their behavior. And you're going to have a lot of people who don't have dogs but love the park, love the conservation area there at Amethyst and Mill River, who are going to effectively suffer because they can't use that area because a couple of people, or I think in the case of Amethyst, a lot of people just want to just let their dogs run. And I don't think that's fair.
Jason, I thought the closure was a closure to dogs, not to humans as well.
But that's so maybe I would have to go back. That may be the case, but nonetheless, all of the access things still stand, right? You can just walk into the neighborhoods, like if you go, was it north or past the parking lot, and there's people just walk into those neighborhoods, right? That's if I walk down the end of my neighborhood, I cross over Main Street there, Pelham Road, and you can walk in there. You can come in from another trail. So logistically, I think it would be an incredibly hard thing to do.
Sure. I think, like, I mean, it's exactly what you're saying, though. I mean, we can do our part, and our part is to enact these regulations, to write them. The enforcement needs to come from the folks who are enforcers. Alex mentioned before that Dave has the authority to enforce these regs on Concom land. The conservation, let's see, the conservation land manager and assistant conservation land managers both have the authority to issue tickets as well, because I know, because I interviewed for that job some time ago. So they can write tickets. I don't know when the last time a ticket has been written, but I think maybe it's time for that to happen, and time for a little pressure on the animal control officer to get out there and get in the woods. And that's where they're going to be effective. And if not, then we need somebody to do it. So that's something I think we need to be discussing at some point. Bruce?
So one of the things we talked about when we had this discussion before was that this is a longer term and wider breadth problem, that at least in part, education is going to be central. And that, yes, the signs by themselves don't do the job. So one of the ideas, it's time consuming and expensive, but it might be worth trying to have somebody, a set of people out there more than once to do a survey of the people who are there with their dogs and the people who aren't there who are there but not with dogs, but just to use a interviewing, surveying, questionnaire effort as partially educational, but also gathering data. Maybe one problem at a time doesn't convey.
Yeah. Well, if we were to write some kind of survey up like that, I wouldn't mind. I could volunteer for a little bit. I don't mean like every day. I mean, go over there and ask some questions and so on. I think at the same time, that would be a very educational, an opportunity to provide some education to the folks that you're surveying. So I think that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Alex.
Yeah, when the subcommittee was thinking about dogs, which it did a lot, and and talked about closure. I appreciate Jason's comments about the logistics of, and all the trails and where they come from and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think when we talked about closure, I don't think we anticipated closing every trail, every access. And when we talked to Dave, we said, how would you enforce this? And he says, I would close the parking lot. When he did it quickly. And he says, that would get the message out. And we thought that word would spread pretty quickly that people not towing the line with their dogs caused the closure. And the rule that's before us for a vote one of these days is up to a month. I don't think Dave is ever going to, I mean, he doesn't really want to close a trail, but so I don't think you're going to see him do it for a month unless it's just repeated problem. But a week, I think you could see him close it on busy weekends or a period of time and get the police to enforce that closure. And so what was trying to happen was to cause the word to get out that what the rules are and that some people misbehaving are going to cause other people to suffer. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Alex. Bruce?
The other day, there was an article in the Gazette saying Hubbard's Pond closed because of pollution. And you can imagine an article that says Amethyst Brook closed to dogs for a week. And then there's an article. And that's how the education would get out in a different fashion.
I think that's good. I'm opposed to closing it to everybody, though. I think closure to dogs would be good. I'll also say, like Jason was saying before, my wife was out on those trails one day, and a dog came up to her, perfectly fine, and he was alone, entirely alone. And she checked the tag on the dog, called the phone number, and the person picked up, and she said, well, I have your dog here on the trail, and I found this number, and she got cut off and said, the woman said, well, that's my dog. Why are you bothering him? He goes out there all the time, and why don't you just let go of him instead of holding him there to get the phone number off his tag? And then she started to get really nasty with her. So it's the neighbors as well. So yeah, people can access it from everywhere. The only way to really get to that is to have somebody walk in the woods. And that's very simple. It's a beautiful walk, and they'll be getting paid for it. So anyway. All right. Are there anything else? Anyone else?
I move we adjourn.
Well, let me just hold on one second. Let me just check with the public. Anybody out of the public have anything that they would like to speak about? I see no hands. Bruce, what did you just say before, after the movement? You seconded?
What you just did.
All right. Oh, thanks. All right. So Alex, you want to do it again?
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
All right. Alex on the motion. Jason on the second. Jason.
Aye.
Alex.
Aye.
Rachel.
Hi.
Bruce. All right. Well, thanks, folks. Have a good evening, and we'll see you again next week, if not before.
Thanks,
In
everybody.
2 weeks. Oh, there is the other second one next week, right?
Yep.
Next
Uh-oh.
week.
Yeah, thanks for the
So to
correction.
be clear, Aaron doesn't have to do a report for our next meeting?
No, not next week, right? And not next,
No.
No, not the hunting meeting. No.
So-
Oh, for the
Maria.
meeting, the next meeting. So I think Andre, you should communicate with Dave, per the commission's discussion.
Mhm.
And then Dave will communicate with me. I don't want to get,
Yep.
I think that conversation needs to happen between the commission and Dave.
Sure, yeah, Dave's your boss. If whatever he tells you, and but as far as us, we don't require that. So, and we will be requesting your input verbally.
So Andre, as chair tonight,
Mhm.
will you communicate with Dave?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, folks. Have a good night.
Thanks,
night.
everybody. Good night.
Mhm.